There cannot be anything without a nature for that thing. It can be understood as an absolute infinity of itself, expressed in a two-split relationship as the nature for and the nature of. The nature for equals everything that makes anything possible, and the nature of equals everything possible because of anything. The two-split is the sum total of any identity, and it may be applied to everything. For example, you equal everything that makes you possible, as well as everything that you make possible. Therefore, this relationship defines itself. In an actualized nature, as well as any nature of expression, we represent this relationship as A equals A, and we say that A is true to itself. Here we have the equal sign representing an absolute infinity about A, its most fundamental relationship of self. And each identity of A on both sides of the equal sign represent its two-split. We can think of actualized natures as all the relationships we experience in our everyday lives. All values of this universe may be considered an actualized state. All values that we can represent, whether proven or not, exist in an actualized state. This does not mean all values are expressed or actualized, but that all values are of an actualized nature. And now, this is where the fundamental nature of possibility comes into effect. In terms of possibility, we may represent existence as the possible, and just like everything else, its identity is represented by its two-split, which means existence equals all possibilities for it and all possibilities of it. If existence is the possible, then the nature for existence is the possibility. Therefore, its possibility makes itself possible, because this is how it equals itself. This is also because we understand that there cannot be anything without the nature for that thing. The same would hold true for existence itself, or in its entirety. There cannot be an existence if there is no nature for existence. And by the definition of everything, we understand that the nature for existence is also a value of existence. We may represent any value as a possibility, and that possibility would equal its two-split. And we can represent any value of the two-split as possibilities. The two-split itself is a possibility, and its nature cannot escape, exclude, or exempt itself because it is the definition of itself. That's what we mean by fundamental, and that's why we use this approach. Therefore, possibility makes itself possible because it is impossible to be any other way. Possibilities equal possibilities. You don't have to take my word for it. Go ahead and split any relationship into all its possibilities, which would mean all possibility about it in every way. And for every possibility in every way, you could then split all of that into all of their possibilities about them. And of course, we can keep going. So what we have here is an infinite nature as a value for relationships. Let's say you were nostalgic and you still wanted to represent something in terms of before everything, even though we know before everything is still actually something. What you're trying to do is split existence into a value that is not part of existence. This would be the closest value of nothing. But the value of nothing is a paradox, unless, of course, it's a kind of relationship of existence. The point is that whatever is before everything is still represented by the term everything. But let's say you're not going to give up, so you decide to two-split possibility itself. You know that any possibility equals everything that makes it possible and everything that it makes possible. Okay, so you two-split everything that makes it possible, which would still result in a value of possibility. Eventually, you can conclude that the most fundamental value of possibility is the nature of itself, which is a possibility. This is the exact reason why all things define themselves, A equals A, because possible things are the only things possible. We may then say that the nature of possibility makes things possible. Furthermore, it is impossible to be impossible. Therefore, The most accurate thing you can say about something before everything would be that it is the possibility for everything. And we know this because there cannot be anything without the nature for that thing. Possibility as the nature for itself is an infinite value because it represents always being possible. It's always the nature of itself before or after itself. Therefore, it is impossible to be impossible. We can represent the nature for possibility as 0, which equals an infinite amount of possibility. But we also know that there has to be a nature for an infinite amount of possibility. So 0 equals 0. This is the equivalent of the 2-split, which supports that possibility defines itself by possibilities. But instead of the equal sign, we will use the letter G to represent the infinite relationship of itself. Then the infinite nature for possibility is represented as 0G0. And the result of an infinite amount of possibility is an infinite amount of possible things. We can represent this as 0G1, the actuality of itself. Keep in mind that an infinite amount of possible things is still a possibility. This is why we keep the 0 on the nature for side of the result, and the 1 represents an actuality of possibility, which will be the result for possible things. The representation would look like this. 0G0 equals 0G0. As an infinite result of itself, which is 0G0 squared, equals 0G1. Once the actuality for possibility is defined, an infinite amount of possible things equals 1G0, which looks like 0G1 equals 0G1, which equals 0G1 squared, which equals 1G0. This is the existence that we currently experience. It is the infinity of actual things and the nature for them. 1G0 is the actuality of its infinite possibility, 0G1 squared. The nature for actual things is now 1, and the nature for actuality is the infinite possibility 0, hence 1G0. And of course, the result of 1G0 is 1G1, which is 1G0 equals 1G0, which equals 1G0 squared, which equals 1G1. For example, we equal the nature of us, 1G0, and the nature of us, 1G1. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let us now define the most fundamental 2-split representation for existence as 0G0G1, and the most fundamental 2-split of existence as 1G0G1. Please tune into the next video part for continued elaborations of the formula. Thank you.